right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're so glad to get started. I'm Heather Hill. I am the Communications and Marketing Director for World Hope International, and we are glad that you joined us. So starting out this morning, I'd like to introduce to you John Lyon. He is the CEO of World Hope International, as well as Sean Griffin, who is the founder and CEO of Disaster Tech. So John, you want to get us started?
Terrific. Thank you, Heather. And thank you for everybody who's joined us today. I'm really excited about the launch of this product that we've done in consortium with Foursquare Disaster Relief and Disaster Tech and Foursquare Church in Seattle. And I'm excited because this is an opportunity. This is a tool that will create an opportunity for local leaders, local church leaders, to be able to more readily affect the needs in their own community. So this tool makes that whole process a lot easier. Thank you for joining us.
And Sean.
Hello, everyone. We're honored to be partnered with World Hope International and Foursquare Disaster Relief for the launch of Get Support, which is a secure platform to allow community members and church leaders to organize a mutual aid assistance process securely and safely through a secure platform that we built in collection with this team. So I'll keep my remarks brief, and really glad that you can join the call today, and look forward to getting your feedback and support for the Get Support website. Thank you.
And thank you. All right, so I'd like to introduce you all to Chad Isenhart. Chad is the International Director of Foursquare Disaster Relief, and John just mentioned working with Foursquare Church. So Chad, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today. We would love to hear from you. Turning it over.
Awesome, thanks Heather. So excited to be with you all this morning, and such a blessing to be a part of this team with World Hope International and Disaster Tech. It's just such a great tool, a great team to be a part of. For Foursquare Disaster Relief, we're super excited about using Get Support as a tool to increase our ability to impact communities impacted by COVID-19 and disasters and things in the future as well. What we're excited about is being able to give a tool to our local churches who are actively engaged in their communities, and they see needs around them, but they're often trying to find a way, how do we facilitate those needs? And so lightening the load and the administrative burdens that the church leaders feel, but while releasing the church members to be able to be a part of actually being able to do something in response to this. So we're excited to share this tool with our churches in our Foursquare network as we add that as a complement to how we respond to this COVID-19 and share the gospel around the world. So thank you guys for your amazing work to do this, and letting Foursquare Disaster Relief be a part of this. And we're just so grateful.
Well, we are really grateful for your partnership with us on this, Chad. So I'd like to turn this over to Kris Meyer right now. Kris Meyer is our Chief Operating Officer at World Hope International, and he's been very pivotal in putting together this project from start to finish and managing all of the intricacies. Kris, can you talk to us a little bit about why we started building this platform in the first place? What are the needs that you think that this tool will satisfy?
Absolutely, Heather. And thank you, Heather, for the intro. And thank you, Chad, as well. Your and Foursquare Church's support for the Get Support project, how you can see the big vision for this effort, and your trust in World Hope International and Disaster Technologies Incorporated mean the world to us. So thank you for that. Every member of our organizations is committed to helping as many individuals and communities as possible during this time. So as Chad was alluding to, throughout this evolving COVID-19 pandemic, people across this country and around the world are finding their lives significantly disrupted. We, and I'll say we here because none of us speaking today are immune from this, are increasingly isolated. Some are coping with real health issues and real health fears, with school closures, with mounting economic shocks, and a host of other disruptions, many of which are or will be affecting us simultaneously. Folks that are sheltering at home, either due to public health policies, actual exposure, or for those vulnerable with underlying conditions, increasing concerns about being exposed, may not be able to get out to obtain food and other daily living necessities. Those still able to work, but who now face childcare challenges, may need help finding caregivers or may need to expand their pool of support. Many are increasingly finding themselves out of work. They may need material support in ways they never considered asking for before. And still others of us are simply isolated in our homes, understandably anxious about everything going on, and may just want a compassionate voice to talk to or pray with. The scope of these challenges can feel overwhelming for all of us if we take them on as individuals. To respond, to cope, to get through this, now is not a time to go it alone. We must reach out to and leverage our community networks and existing affiliations in new ways to expand our support networks beyond our existing pools of friends and family. Now, many of us are reluctant to ask for help, but our faith-based and community organizations are and have always been there for us. They are the front line in meeting this need. And indeed, across the world, they are rising to this challenge. At World Hope International and Disaster Technologies, we want to support you and them in this effort. We know that first and foremost, for any church, synagogue, mosque, or community organization to be effective, you must first remain a viable organization. When folks are no longer able to gather together, how do we continue to maintain that sense of community and group identity? So the Get Support platform must address that challenge for all of us. We know also that our community leaders, pastors, rabbis, imams, will be the ones taking the calls, hearing the needs, and expected to do something about them, because that is the fundamental nature of what it means to serve. So the Get Support platform must provide the means to assist you with that as well. And we know that when you are hearing these needs and trying to match them to resources, your administrative burden increases significantly. And it increases during a time when your congregants and your members increasingly just need to hear your voice, your personal reassurance, and ministry. So the Get Support platform must reduce your administrative burden too. And it does. So here to tell you more about how that system supports you in all three of these areas, once again, is Sean Griffin, the CEO of Disaster Tech.
Thank you, Kris. Sean? Well, it looks like we may have lost Sean. Oh, Sean's back. Okay, Sean.
Hi. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, Heather, I think you're going to walk us through this site first.
Sure, I will do that. Okay, so everyone, this is the Get Support platform. Get Support, you can come here by going to get-support.worldhope.org. And we have a how it works. We have an FAQ, Get Support login. This is organization registration, where you can register your organization. It's a really easy thing. You step one, register. Yes, right here, organization registration. Just type in your name, your organization name. You'll submit it, let us know who you are, and we'll be in touch with you almost immediately within 24-ish hours to get your organization registered. Going back to homepage here, after you have registered, up here, this is where you can see, like, if you are somebody who wants to receive support, we have a section where you can just click here to get started and then log in. Likewise, if you are somebody who is wanting to support those who are in need of support, you can go and provide ways to help. Scrolling down a little further, Sean. And of course, this is a platform that we are offering free of charge, especially for churches. So if you also wanted to make a donation to help support the operations of this, there is a button for people to do so as well. That just takes you to World Hope's coronavirus response page. Going back to the platform, scrolling down further, we saw the register your organization, and then a little bit further down, you can learn how it works by watching a video. We have a demonstration there for you, as well as a user guide that you can use, and we'll be uploading translations of the user guide in a number of different languages this week, so you'll be able to see those. Sean, I think perhaps before we dive in a little bit further would you, walk us through some of the big picture things about the platform? What you see as some of the benefits of it, and talk a little bit about the security issues and the database encryptions that we have going on the back end?
Sure, happy to share that. So we at Disaster Tech, first and foremost, we are a public benefit company deploying data science tools and custom software like GetSupport to support community resilience and reduce risk before, during, and after disasters. So you may notice that here we have this secure login. So when you come in to the GetSupport tool, which I will demonstrate, and you click login, okay. What you'll notice is that you'll see this splash page that shows sign in with Google or a secure login. You can either sign up directly or log in here. We're using what's called Auth0, or if you can go to the website auth0.com, which is a secure authentication front end to be able to fully encrypt end-to-end any logins that occur. Secondly, on the database side, because we know that personal information will be shared between congregations, churches, and community leaders, that we want to make sure that the database is fully end-to-end encrypted. So we did that as a default. In addition, we've entered this organization key and leader key specifically for church leaders as well as members of the organization to ensure that the person who is logging in is validated that they are part of the church. We want to make sure that we weed out any bad actors, anybody trying to squat on the website and trying to get in and disrupt, a secure flow of information. So we've assigned a unique organization and leader key to each church and to each leader within that church to ensure that they have a secure way to get in. To make a request, it's really simple. You click on the request form here, and what we'll do is it will provide this form, request information, cleaning supplies, for example. So make sure you're as thorough as possible. You want to go in and put as much amplifying information to allow potential donors or members of the church to ensure that they can facilitate your needs. You want to make sure you put in your full name as well as your contact information. And we've left this field to be essentially open-ended. So if you could put your phone number, your email address, whatever contact information that you want to provide. Also, if you're looking to help maybe your mother or your sister or somebody who has an access and functional need, for example, we want to make sure that you're able to put in whatever information to not only assist yourself or if you have a direct request, but if you're working with somebody else to help support their request as well. In addition, you want to add notes like, for example, I live in an apartment, walk into the backyard, there's a gate, any amplifying information that will help a donor facilitate your needs. You can also list the priority as low, medium, or high, or urgent. So if a priority is urgent, that's an immediate need. We want to make sure that church leaders are flagged for the most significant needs at that time. And then also your street address so that any direct delivery of goods or services can be made to your home. Once a request is made and you complete the form, the form is then put into what's called a waiting review. And that allows the church leader to then make sure to approve first that it's a legitimate request. Even though, yes, they are logging into a secure platform, we still want the members of the leaders of the congregation to approve any requests that are coming in. Also, if you're somebody who's submitting a request, you can also withdraw at that time. From there, the church leader will click accepted. And what you'll notice is that the name, the contact information, and the address would be asterisked out. So another layer of security is the only time that your personal information, if you make a request, is revealed is if there's a direct match with the donor. So if you match with a donor That is, you're making a request, you need cleaning supplies, a donor says they're willing to provide that. Only then will your personal information be disclosed to the donor. Once it's requested, you put it in progress as the donor. The donor will then say, okay, I'm willing to make this donation. And once you put into progress, you'll get an email that says the person, in this case Kris Meyer as an example, has submitted that your request is in progress and that they're going to deliver, in this case, child care for a 7-year-old son. At that point, the donor will then put that the good or service has been delivered. So they'll click here on this status button that's delivered. And then also the person will get an email saying that the request has been delivered or it's essentially on the way. At that point, the person in receipt will have to click on the status that it's received for the cleaning supply, which will then close out the get support request. At that point, the request itself will be taken off of the page. So that way, anybody who is going to donate will know that that's no longer there and that donation and request has been completed. Also, we're putting in a routine request alert for donors. So if you're a donor and you want to see all immediate requests, you can click there. If you want to see 3 times a day, 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m., and note this is local time. So in the case of Eastside Church is on the West Coast, so this will all be Pacific. But if your church is located on East Coast or in Central Time, this 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. digest will be relevant for your time zone. And if you need any help or assistance with setting this up, we are setting up a call center. But in addition, for now, you're always welcome to email us at support@disastertech with any requests that you have.
Great, thank you so much for that walkthrough. So I think that Kris is going to pull up on his computer and show a live demo of that. That was a really great run through the security aspects, as well as showing everyone the thoroughness of our user guide. If you all, when you start using the application, do have any questions, we are just coming out of beta, so we certainly welcome having additional questions sent our way that we can add to the user guide, as well as add to the FAQ on the website. So don't hesitate to show that for us. Kris, over to you if you can walk us through the actual live, just really quickly, just to show the login process and move on from there.
Sure thing, Heather. Here is sharing this screen right now. So you should see the Get Support landing page, which you already stepped through. Also, the FAQ is on there. Some frequently asked questions, and the organization registration site is there as well. So when I want to log in, it will take me to this page where I will log in. I will sign out because I was already logged in, but I'll log in now. I will, oh, cookies. I think the cookies got us here. There you go. So, so it already comes up with my previously entered information. Like Sean was stepping through, if I wanted to sign up with a completely new account from step 1, I would just do it this way. And then it would take me to this piece where I would enter my name. I would paste my organization's key, and if I was a leader, I would simultaneously paste my leader key here, consent to the terms of privacy, and that I'm 18 years or older, and then I could select or deselect if I wanted to stay in touch with World Hope, and then I would finalize that registration. So since I've already been through that process, I will log in with one of my existing logins. So I will log in. This should be a leader login on the Get Support on the Eastside Church site. So here's what it'll look like. So as we talked about a couple of key points, right? Leaders will be able to see all the information, and the group leaders will be able to approve or deny requests. as the first step before they go out to the rest of the group. So here is the leader's viewpoint, and you would be able to see all the previously executed or entered requests. We've cleared all the data from here for right now for just privacy reasons, so that we could demo this appropriately to everybody. If I logged in just as a user, all I would see would be the request and the priority and the town and the zip code and the date stamp of when that came in. In this way, it would prevent any potential donor from picking and choosing who they wanted to necessarily support. They're just looking at the actual request that came in. And then once they selected it to in progress, then they would, only at that point would they see the rest of the information. So we talked about the request form. This is a live request form. So I'll go ahead and enter a request. So I'm going to request, like we'll just do the childcare example. And I would need to be as detailed as possible to help my donor understand exactly what I'm asking for so they can make a good decision. So I will just enter a quick alias here. And the rest of my information is already put my phone number, contact information, email address. So we'll just do, I'll put a low and my street address already filled in because I've done this before, and I'll submit the request. And so that request will be submitted. And then I will go back to refresh the page here. So, hey, technology is great until until you get some small hiccups here. Let me log in as a user and not a leader and make my request, because that might have been the issue there. There you go, and that was exactly what the problem was. So now I'm a user, I've submitted this, it's awaiting review. So this will come now to the group leader, and as a group leader, I've already got an email in my queue saying that there's requests awaiting review. So just on the leader side, I'll sign back out and I'll log back in as a leader to show what that looks like. And so I should see that come up, because that's what's happened in all the other instances. So the leader will take it from awaiting review, and they will approve it. As a donor, all I can do is submit that it's awaiting review or withdrawn. Once it's gone past awaiting review, then it'll go out to the rest of the group who signed up to receive notifications that there are requests that are in queue, active requests. Now, other members of the organization, when they log in, they can submit that they don't want to get any emails ever. They perhaps just want to be a requester. They can submit immediate requests. They can that they want to get notified whenever a request comes in immediately. They can get a daily summary 3 times a day to review, or they can get a once daily summary. They can also be asked, separate from all this, to be notified immediately for any urgent requests. So that will send an email out to the group based on all of your preferences as to what you would like to occur. So those are the basics of it. As you go through the system, you'll have a couple touch points. One, once the request is there, then the leader approves it, and it goes out to the group. Then the group can log in and they can see it. The donor will be able to identify, once the donor chooses to, once the donor chooses to act on it and they change it to in progress, then that request will no longer be visible to the rest of the community except for the leader. And then, so once you've done that, an email goes back to the requester saying that this donor has agreed to initiate this request, and that starts that process. And then following that, once the donor starts to actually act on that, they will change the status themselves to delivered. And then once the receiver accepts it and it's been completed, they will change it to received. And once you change it to received, that'll complete one full donor cycle. So that's the basics, Heather.
Awesome. Thanks, Kris. Chad, do you want to talk a little bit about how Eastside Church has been using this? I know you guys beta tested it this weekend and would love to hear kind of the success stories related to that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we were doing the beta test with one of our churches up here that was really at the epicenter of the virus up here in the Northwest, just outside of Seattle. And yeah, for their church, they were getting some requests. I think that the difficulty for them was how to field requests. You know, somebody just calling up the office and giving a need to the secretary, and now everybody being just, you know, not at the church building as well, is getting very, very difficult for them to field the request from one end and then actually be able to connect church resources to the need. But at the same time, they were trying to find a way to get their church members involved, not just maybe just giving funds, but also being a part of actively giving. So yeah, they rolled it out to the church. Everything's kind of changing our dynamics for church involvement right now with things going online and you know, church meetings not coming together. And so just getting it out to their congregants through social media platforms, and people have been very, very responsive. We've gotten a lot of people that have actually wanted to be donors, and we're kind of waiting for more needs to come in. But it's been very, very well received, and I think people are very excited about finding a tangible way that they can jump in and help and be a part of responding as a community to needs around them. It was also an opportunity, I think, for the church members to find a way to even get outside of the doors of the church as well, and find people in their communities, their neighbors, friends and family that might be in need as well, and be able to connect them through the system as well. So a lot of great opportunity, and I think we're just kind of seeing the trickle effect of where it goes from here.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you, Tanya, for stepping in there for a second. So does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask here? I've started to see some in the chats come through. One question that we have is, what is the optimal minimal number of users targeted to make the platform function? Sean, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely, I can take that. There is no minimum or maximum user base. That's completely at the discretion of the church. So if you have 1,000 members of your church, then all 1,000 people can sign up and join. So there is no limitation on login or number of users. There was also a question as well from Ashley Jennings. Does every church get their own customized link? The answer is no. Everybody will use the getsupport.disastertech.com link. What is different, each church will receive a unique key, as well as a unique organization and leader key, so that when you sign up, that key is associated with your church. So that way the donors and recipients, as well as church leaders, are only seeing requests and donations specifically for your church group in your local jurisdiction. So just to repeat on that, everybody will have the same link, getsupport.disastertech.com, and then we'll provide you with the unique leader key for church leaders, as well as a unique organization key for any donor or recipient, anyone who wants to receive a donation. So I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you, Sean. Another question is, when will this be available for more churches? And the answer to that I can take and say, starting now, registration is open. So if you have a church or an organization that you would like to use this platform, please go ahead and register on the website, the landing page that you were shown earlier today. We can put that in the chat here for you all as well, so you can just click, jump in, and start registering. Another question we have is, what happens if a need is not met? Kris.
I'll take that. Sure. Yeah. So as much as possible, we want to devolve this power to the community group, right? So the local pastor, the community pastor, or whatever that administrator is, can manage the product in whatever way they feel is the best fit for their organization. So so if something's not met, then it sits there, and there's no the tool itself does not create an obligation to meet the need. It's expanding that support network across as many people as possible to find someone who can help meet that need. So I think that's what the goal of the tool is.
Great, thank you. Another question that we have is, what's the best way to distribute the unique church key to our people? So I'll just say a few words on that, and then I'll let the others jump in as well. But we have a church packet, and for any organizations here joining us today who are not churches, we also have an organization packet. So when you register, you will get a list of suggestions, a toolkit we're calling it, of ways to communicate about this with your organization. So some of those will include suggested pop-ups, suggested language for your website, as well as emails that you can send out and social media. In terms particularly of the unique church key, you can list that out. You could have it on a slide. If you're doing a live church service and you're still using slides in your streaming, you could list it up there. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because you don't know who may be just live streaming, watching, capturing that. But on the website itself, absolutely list it. In an email, go ahead and send it to your members as well. All right.
Hey, Heather.
Yes, Sean.
I saw another question regarding the platform. So the question was related to what platform is it running on, backup systems, future availability as in tornadoes and hurricanes. So the simple answer to that is we are running this on Microsoft Azure on their services in the cloud. And our system is built to have regional redundancy. So we're running servers on the East Coast and on the West Coast. In Microsoft services, we can also spin up servers in Europe and in Asia as well. But our primary service is in the United States. So we have global redundancy in our platform. So it is essentially, because we are disaster tech, we have built our backend infrastructure to be built for these scenarios, to have the platform running as well as our other services running 24/7, 365 without any downtime.
Fantastic, thank you. We are getting a lot of questions. This is exciting. I want you all to know we're going to make sure we get in as many as we can, and we do still have time. So another question that I've seen is, would leaders ever be entering requests on behalf of others, such as live on the phone, or would we just direct them to the site? Kris, can I let you respond to that one?
Sure. Well, the site's designed for folks to enter their own requests. It doesn't have to be that way. If you feel like this is the best way as a local group leader to get a request from someone who may not be have access to technology or be super savvy with the technology, you could enter that on your own. But what will happen going forward is there will be a couple more touch points that the requester, which will have to change the status to received after you've already submitted it as a group leader and approved it to go out to the group. So so if there needs to be communication between the donor and the recipient to help coordinate something specific, that should still occur. But really, the power is all in your hands as a group leader as to how you want to use the tool.
Yes, it can be really customized based on your unique needs in this way.
I could just add one more point to that.
Sure,
we don't know what kind of requests will come in because folks will have a lot of requests. And some of the questions we've had already are, can people ask for money? Is everything on here going to be expected to be free? And again, this is where you work through those questions with your own community and how you would want to do it. So you have the power to approve any request before it goes out to the group. So if you have someone who requested just money to help pay their rent, you can reach out and talk to them directly if you want to before that goes out to anyone. Or you can handle that however you would like to, whatever is most appropriate for your individual organization.
Okay, great. Another question we have is, when will the call center be live and what services will they provide? Sean, can you speak to that one?
So for the call center, the purpose there is to be able to answer any questions related to sign in, log in, to answer any questions on how to best utilize the system. If there are deep technical questions or debugging questions that we have, the call center will then route that to our technical staff to deal with that issue. And then we will follow up with the individual, assuming that they want to disclose their information to us, but we'd be happy to follow up directly via email, which I mentioned earlier, which is support@disastertech.com. So that's open and available anytime. But the call center will be made available to take anybody's phone calls, to help them walk through the system, to help them sign up. And then for any technical questions, they'll route that to us to resolve.
Great, thank you. Another question for you, Sean, I think, is do we have definitions and a flow chart for the various roles? Group, leader, requester, donor?
That's a great question. So the user guide, I believe, spells that out pretty well. But we're always open for feedback and input. So if you feel that the user guide needs to be more tailored for a user versus a leader versus a donor, we're happy to work with anybody after this webinar to discuss how we can improve the workflows. I should also mention, and I think it was touched upon earlier, we are releasing the user guide in multiple languages, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian, and Japanese, as well as simple and traditional Chinese.
Great, thank you. Another question we have is this only for church members to ask and church members to respond, or can the community participate? And I'll just take that one really quickly. It is up to the decision of the church. If you want to open up this platform for your larger community, you are certainly welcome to. We would just recommend that you make sure that you are continuing to monitor the requests and posts that come in. You'll perhaps start not recognizing people as often if they're not regularly going to your services or necessarily part of your organization. So just make sure to keep an eye on what kind of requests are being made. All right.
Heather, can I just chime in there? So one of the
Yes.
things we're really concerned about is people acting nefariously or trying to abuse the system in some way. So so that's why the church, the group leader has the oversight to screen any request that goes through and to deny requests. One of the things that I would anticipate a community leader would do if I was in that position would be to screen a request against my known list of group members. So right now, what we're doing is sending out a daily list of all people who are signed up under your key so that you can understand who all is signed up in your group. But this is going to be an iterative process, right? We needed to kind of get something lightweight, simple out to address the need as quickly as possible. And that's what you're seeing here today. But what next steps will have an administrator dashboard where you can see everyone who is signed up for your specific key, and that you can block those folks as well. So in that way, you can prevent abuse of that nature. And the other thing that the disaster tech team is doing is utilizing an anomaly detection tool. So if we start seeing a number of IP addresses coming to your site or through the platform that are coming from somewhere that's not germane to your specific geography, that'll flag something as well, and we can address that.
Thank you so much. Another question we have is, will this be available after the COVID-19 pandemic so you can use any time for general use? The answer to that is absolutely yes. And a follow-up question was, what liability will the church have by connecting people together on this site? Kris, can I give you that one?
Well, I think that falls back to how your organization handles that today. You have the power to deny requests. The terms of use that people log into with the site are designed to put the screening power between the requester and the donor so that that conversation needs to happen. We're particularly aware and concerned of issues around childcare, so none of that should absolutely ever happen without the requestor and the donor coming to a mutual agreement that is outside of the platform. The platform does not have the ability to do that kind of screening, and nor would we expect that the church leadership themselves are able to do that kind of screening with full confidence in all these occasions. So a lot of this has to go back to the relationship between the donor and the recipient, which is how things work kind of, I think, in our neighborhoods and communities today.
All right, thank you. And I think here to add to that is a visitor. Let me just connect her here. This is Kelsey. Kelsey, are you there? Let me unmute you. No, okay. All right, well, we will hop on to the next question while we come back to her. I think she had something to say. Kelsey is our Chief Legal Officer at World Hope. So moving on to the next question, meanwhile, how can I share this opportunity with churches in my network who may be interested in the platform? So I would throw this one to Kris as well as Chad, to you. I'd be curious if you can speak a little bit about, how you're seeing it shared, as well as what you all's plans are for sharing it.
Yeah, you can take that, Kris. You want me to first?
Go ahead, Chad. You have a church network.
Yeah. I first, we started with our one local church, and in the Northwest here. And the funny thing is that I think the trickle effect to other pastors in the area has been already happening. So a lot of pastors and leaders up in the Northwest here already know about the platform, even though it wasn't even live till today and outside of the beta. And so that's happening very, very quickly, just because I think a lot of people are excited about a tool that they can give to their congregation and their members. So that's one way, just the organic people sharing with other people about something and using it that way. Most of our churches also have gone, digital, posting things on Facebook and Instagram and all kinds of other social media tools. So pastors and leaders are really kind of wanting to roll it out themselves, kind of specific to their context. Some may have their pastors specifically talk about the tool to their congregation. Others might have a communications person that might do it that way. And then really encouraging members then from there to kind of be able to continue to share it individually. And then from a denominational perspective, from our leadership, we're working with being able to communicate it to our churches as a tool outside of just this kind of beta up in the Northwest for us, and being able to just say, hey, there's another tool that we want to add to your toolbox, and communicate it kind of from the denominational level. So I think there's a number of different ways that we're looking at it, but a lot of it's just organic. And as pastors and leaders talk to other leaders, it's really easy to say, this is what I'm doing and it's working great here. And this is obviously a free, great tool that World Relief and Disaster Tech has offered. So that's really easy just to kind of hand it over and have them sign up for their own key.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. And then, like Heather was alluding to earlier, we have created an entire body of press materials that churches can use to get the word out, so that's how they can continue to discuss it within their organizations and perhaps with other members of their network.
Fantastic. All right. So another question is, can I access the system on my cell phone?
Yes, the answer is yes. You can access this via your cell phone or your desktop or tablet. It is a web-based system, so you just log in through your browser, whether you're using an iPhone Safari or Firefox or Chrome for Androids, or whatever you use. It doesn't discriminate on the browser type. So just use your browser, put in get-support.worldhope.org, or you can go directly to the login page, which is getsupport.disastertech.com, in any browser on any device.
Great. And another question, does the leader login keep a record of all the completed interactions? Sean, this one for you as well.
So right now, by default, everything gets archived to the database. So we can simply provide a direct export of all of the actions and interactivity within the database to any leader of any church at any time.
Thank you. All right, I'm scrolling through and making sure we didn't miss any questions. It looks like one is going back to the key. So on the organization key, should we or should we not be posting that on our website? So if you are not wanting to share this outside of your organization or your church, I would not recommend posting it on your website, because as soon as it's up there, other people who are outside of your community might see it there. And that limits you to emailing it to your constituents or private messaging it to your constituents, etc. So it's just a decision to be mindful of which way you would like to take that. It's not necessarily a right or wrong thing. Kris, do you want to add to that?
I will, because we understand that getting information out during this time when we are not all meeting in place is a real challenge. So on the beta, they did put their key on a page that you had to get through to discuss your community engagement and how we were going to introduce this and get it rolling. But the group leader will always have the power to deny requests and to ask people to leave the site. So if that becomes abusive, then we can also issue a new key wherein everyone who already is on the site and you haven't blocked remains fine. That key remains intact, but any new members would have to use a new key. So we have kind of tried to consider this and figure out ways to maintain to both reduce the barrier to access, but also to keep you in control of what your congregants, what your potential donors get asked to see, to respond to.
Thank you. So another question that I've seen a few times here is about the recording for this launch. We are recording it. We will be posting it on World Hope website, as well as making it available on the landing page that you have received the link for today. And as you will also see on the landing page for Get Support, at the very bottom there is a video overview. So if you are wanting to go back through and see how to do it, you can just go right through that video. It takes you from login all the way through responding to requests, etc. We also intend to provide over the next week or two some more videos from different perspectives. Another question from our audience, can there be more than one group leader? The answer is yes, there can. You are able to distribute your leader key, and especially for larger organizations, we certainly recommend that you do so to share that around with your community. Any other questions? Okay. Chad, a question for you is, for Eastside, how are they enjoying this experience so far?
Yeah, I think they've certainly been enjoying it greatly. Like I said, it's lightened, I think, the administrative burden on them, and also just a way to not just have the church, pastoral staff meeting needs, but actually getting people in the congregation active in responding. I think the one challenge that they're facing in the midst of this is there's a lot of people in the church that are willing to facilitate needs, to be a donor, but not as many needs have been requested yet through the platform. And I think that's just kind of what we're hearing a lot of from a lot of our churches in the Northwest is maybe some of the impacts haven't trickled down very far to a lot of people yet. And so I think as time progresses, we'll see more requests coming in through all these platforms and any community outreach for that matter. And so I think it's really interesting as people up here are asked to stay at home and to stay in place in those kind of orders. You're seeing the church really saying, we want to do things in a healthy way, in a safe way, but we want to be a part of actually helping people. And so it's really encouraging to see the church actually step up and say, like, hey, we're here, we want to help. And so seeing a really encouraging response from our church members in that way in the midst of this. So one challenge, and maybe not a lot of requests, but a lot of people really wanting to jump in yet and meet those needs.
I think it can be hard for people to say, hey, I need help or I need something. And,
Totally.
you know, part of that is on the church to communicate and say, you know, it is okay. It is all right. We all have needs during this time. And really speaking to that, I know that is something that at World Hope we're trying to think about a lot as well. Is one of the great needs of this time is an emotional need. It is that grief and loss that we are all experiencing right now as we adjust to a really strange new norm, and no one knows how long that will go for. So sharing and talking about that and being okay with saying in a community, I need something. This is a new time for all of us. It's a humbling but exciting time. So another question on the technical end that I've received is, does the system have any analytics, i.e. number of requests, number fulfilled, etc.? Kris or Sean, would one of you care to respond to this one?
So this is Sean. We certainly could build some basic analytics to display number of users, in the aggregate, of course, completely anonymized. We could provide some geospatial tools to display, where folks are using it, where churches are located. There's a number of things that we certainly could do. So I think what would be helpful for us if we want to build, or if you would like us to build some additional analytical tools, data visualization tools that showcase what this platform is doing. If you can sort of write those requests down and send them to support@disastertech.com, and we can start to think through how we might be able to orchestrate that. But that's a great idea.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that we are drawing towards the end of our time together. So if you all have any questions that come up after this event, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can contact us at covid-19@worldhope.org, and we'll drop that in the chat here as well. You can also reach out to any one of us. We are available. We're happy to address your questions and concerns, and we're so glad that you joined us here today. That being said, I would like to turn this back over to John. And John, do you have any thoughts on how people can get engaged on Get Support and connect with their community?
Terrific. Yeah, thank you, Heather. Great having everybody on board here. I would just really encourage church leaders and community leaders to reach out to people. We're social creatures, right? We need each other, and when we're all stuck at home, we don't have those same social support networks, and the mechanisms by which we encounter each other is lost to us, right? Our opportunities to physically be with each other is now gone. So this tool is developed so that we can replace that in the best way we can. So instead of having finding a need in your local community, your local church, now this is an online tool that can help do that. But as leaders, church leaders, I really encourage you all to call people. We're all socially conditioned to not ask for help. Find the elderly in your congregation, give them a call. Even if they don't have a need, they have a need to talk to somebody. So talk to people, get engaged, and this tool can help keep those requests organized so that we can actually track what's being asked and what's being given, and you can measure and evaluate the relief effort at your local level. Also, thanks for your time. We hired Disaster Tech to build this tool. This is a Generation 1 tool, and as you guys use this, think about ways we can make it even better. and we wish it's just a platform that can be expanded. So if you want to give us more feedback, that'd be terrific. Also, if you be interested in donating to help us pay for the tool and pay for that help support line, we accept donations as well.
Great, thank you. Sean, any thoughts in closing from you?
To build off of John's point, this is really about bringing communities together in unfortunate times of isolation. The bottom line is we built the tool specifically to help build and keep social cohesion, bringing communities together to ensure communities remain resilient in this challenging time. And to also build off of John's points that with respect to the platform, this is version 1.0. There's so much more that we can do. We are donating our time, to this, going above and beyond, shifting all of our engineering resources to support this tool. We've put, paid clients on the back burner to really focus on this effort. So any additional functionality that you'd like to see, I appreciate the comments about analytics. This is all based on, and is part because of your donation. So, as far as functionality is concerned, with your donations, we can bring on more engineers, we can bring in more capabilities to support things that you would like to see. But we ultimately want to keep this as free as possible to the community so that we can help every community across the country and frankly the world to be able to use this tool at any time, not only during COVID-19, but in future disasters.
Thank you. I could not have said that better myself. So just a final thank you to all of you for joining us today. We are so excited to be able to share this tool with you, to help your communities get the support that they need, to help you maintain your organizational identity and community during this time. We are excited to also be rolling this out in Australia soon, so down under, coming your way. And thank you for your encouragement. As was mentioned, please do continue to share your questions or ideas for this. We are continuing to improve upon it, build it out, and so glad to have you all join us. Please do share the word if you liked this tool, if you're excited, and go register your organization. We are excited to hear from you. All right, have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.